Hey everybody, and welcome to today's live stream. Really nice to have you here with me. In this live stream, we are going to continue where we left off the previous week when we created those paper wireframes for our VR website. So in today's live stream, we are going to turn those paper wireframes to wireframes in Adobe XD, and I'm going to show you how to do just that in just a moment. But let me check the chat. Hi, Chalef, and I'm glad you're excited. Hey, everybody, nice of you to join me. Today, we are live streaming to Behance, we are live streaming to my YouTube channel, we are also live streaming to my Twitter, so all over the place. Thank you so much for watching, everybody, and nice of you to be here with me today. You can check out my courses and my digital design products at alexondesign.co. You can also subscribe to my YouTube channel, which is Alex on Design. I'm going to get to it in just a second. You can follow me on Behance at WebDonut, which is sort of my business page over there. And just not to forget for the end, you can check out my Inception Design System at inceptiondesignsystem.co, which is, to my knowledge, the biggest design system for Adobe XD ever created. And if you want to check out the Inception Design System, see how it looks like, see how it works in real projects, then you can check out my YouTube channel where I have the free course all about it. And it's relevant for today because we are doing the website design, not using Inception Design System per se, but nevertheless, you can see it over there on my YouTube channel. And once again, if you want, you can go ahead and check out my courses and digital design products on alexondesign.co. Let me check the chat. Hi, Abdullah. Glad you guys are here, and thank you for following me on Skillshare. I hope you're finding value in my courses over there. Let me know if the music is too loud. And before we get started, speaking about YouTube channel, just before, soon I'm going to reach 10,000 subscribers there, and I'm thinking about a giveaway for those 10k subscribers. So I wanted to give you guys sort of, let's say, yearly membership to my website and perhaps Inception Design System copies. Let me know in the comments, would you like me to do something like that? Because that is quickly approaching. So I'm hoping in the next month or so to reach those 10,000 subscribers on YouTube, and it's kind of a big milestone for me. So I just wanted to celebrate it, perhaps do a live giveaway in a live stream or something like that. Let me know in the comments, would you like me to do something like that? So without any further ado, let's get started. Let's jump into XD and let me show you what we are going to create. So here we are in Adobe XD, and I just quickly went through last week's paper wireframe which we created, and I simply went ahead and put those two together. I didn't use the scanner for this one because my scanner broke, so I will have to buy a new one, but nevertheless I simply took my camera and took two photos of it and just basically put these two images together. So this is kind of a cleaned up version of what we did last week, because last week I was kind of in a hurry, so I just created some random scribbles here and there, but I just quickly went ahead and polished this version just a little bit so it's a bit more presentable for this particular live stream. But I was still using the same information that we did for that previous one. And right here, what I did, I just simply created an artboard 1920 by 1080, and here I just have the logo, so I'm going to drag and drop it inside. It's just a simple logo which I took from Envato Elements, and I'm going to show you guys the collection which is located in the chat, so you can check it out if you're interested. And here is that collection on Envato Elements, because same like with all of my other streams, I hope you are familiar with it so far. I'm using assets from Envato Elements because they truly have every single thing that you need, from animated icons, which you can see right here, all the way down to images, to mockups, to videos and loopable videos. Even though videos with a green screen, we are not going to use all of these in the design part next week when we're going to do the design, but I just quickly went ahead and collected all of these just in case you want to use this collection. You have these illustrations as well. I took the same girl from these images, which I'm going to use. I think we are going to use this one. I think I cut it off in Photoshop and just created a PNG with a transparent background. And but we are going to use some of these, for example this one, but here is the 3D which we are going to use in the design as well. Also here are some videos which we are going to create on loop. I think it's this one, so if I hover you can see how it looks like. So quite a big collection. Once again, not going to use all of it but just some of it, but I still went ahead and created this collection for you guys if you want to use it, and it's going to give you a sort of a kick-off point, let's call it like that, for your next project. So let's close this file, go back to XD, and first thing I'm going to do is to create my grid. Let me check the chat. I hope you guys are having a great day today. So I'm going to click on my layout. Let me hide myself so you can see it a bit better. And first things first, which we are going to do is we are going to, let's use gutter width of 60, for example, and all of these other settings look fine. Let me lower down the opacity of this one just so you guys are able to see what I'm creating. Let me position my logo a bit better to somewhere around here. Perhaps that's a bit much, so let me bring it to 5, like that, and let's expand this downwards to something like this. And first thing I'm going to do obviously is go ahead and create the navigation, but before I do so, let me quickly create the positioning for our videos. So this is going to be 1000 pixels in width, in height, and 1920 in width. So let's position that like this. Right click, send it to back, and I'm going to use let me see which color I can use for this one. So let's actually use this one just for now, just so that you can see what I'm doing. And let's turn our logo to white, and I'm going to straight away go back to here to our colors, double click, call this one white, and you can leave the hex code if you want to. I'm not going to for this example, but in my original example, and if you download the practice file from my website, you are going to get that inside. So all of these colors, for example, have the hex codes next to them, so if you want you can use that as well. Chalev says, I also use XD plugins for icons. That's great. I use that all the time as well, but sometimes I just want to get a bit more personalization for my projects. So that's when I use icons from Envato Elements, for example. So I'm going to call this one Video BG just for now, and we can change that later if we want to. So first things first, what I want to do is hit T on my keyboard and type in products. I'm going to go right and apply this white color, and for this one let's use something like, I don't know, Poppins. Let's see, Poppins maybe 18, and here we can use something like medium just to have it stand out a little bit. And let's select these two, make sure they are in the center, and I'm going to go right ahead and add this to my character styles. So this Poppins 18, hit Control G, and I'm going to call this one nav items. And straight away I'm going to use the stack feature right here, and I'm going to duplicate it, Control D, D, D. Let me check, the original example says 4, like it is right here, so 4. So on this first one we can write partners. Second one we can go with support. And finally, third one, we can go with something like about or about us or whatever. And for the width, I'm going to go the same trick I always do. So when you select your artboard, let me hide myself. So here we use 60 for the gutter width. So I'm going to use the same 60 distance for this one. And that's going to give me a really nice spacing. And let me check right here. We are in the center of our logo. So I'm just going to plonk it right here. Next up, what I'm going to do is select this text, Control V, put it outside, and here I'm going to make sure it's from the center this time, and I'm going to write, let your mind explore worlds it never saw before, like this. And for this one, I'm going to go with something huge, so let's go with bold, let's go with 70. Something like that. Make sure it is in the center like that. I'm going to go Control D to duplicate it, and let's go with this first one. But before we do, let's select it. Let's put it right here in character styles. I'm going to select this one to be 18, and for this one I want to say customize yours, like so. And let's create a button around it. So let's go with something like, let's see, something like that. So 366, and for the height, let's go with 60. We don't need it to be any higher. And let's send backward so we can bring our text forward. And let's use this color that we use right here. And let me actually position this a bit better. Actually, no, let's reverse it. So let's go with white color here. And for the text, where it is, here it is. Let's go with, let me see, maybe we can go with that border color or this color, something like that. Make sure both of these are centered, Control G to group it, and we are going to call this main btn, so main button. Make sure it's in the center. Come inside and drop these down to 50, for example. Make it nice and round. Remove the background, the border, and I'm going to call this btn bg, like so. There we go, and I'm going to snap it in the center. And from the text, let's go with 60 maybe, something like this. There we go, and we're going to call this one, let's see, maybe text. There we go, and I'm going to use another rectangle, and this time make sure I'm from the logo, like this, all the way down to the bottom edge of my videos, and I'm going to snap that in the center. Hit delete, and I'm going to place it right around here. This is going to be our nav, these two items inside, and video BG is going to stay like this. And let me preview it real quick. It looks really nice because videos are going to play around in the background a bit later, so we are not going to mess with this too much for today because, as I said, this is just our wireframe. So let's group this, and I'm going to call this hero, for example. And then we need a second section right here. So if we scroll back, we have this person inside of a blob, and here is the circle for our icon, and we're going to create that in just a second. But before we do, maybe we can put a color for our artboard, just so it stands out a bit better. So I'm going to select my artboard, click right here, and use this color, which is FB, which is just slightly off white. I'm going to add it right here. I'm going to get rid of, let's see, this color, delete, and I'm going to move this. Yeah, let it stay here. Rename, call it artboard, like so, and apply just one more time. Let's be sure we are. I did this just to make sure that it's going to stand out a little bit against the background. It's not going to clash with our text too much. What fonts are usually used for website? I know designers use Rubik most. Chalef, Rubik is fine, but it really depends on your project. If your client already has the fonts they are using, you can use those fonts. If not, then you can simply use Google fonts or Adobe fonts. It really doesn't matter, because if they decide on a style and on the direction they want to go later, then you can simply replace those fonts. That's why we are putting them right here. So let me actually show you with this big one. Let's say I want to replace this one. So right click, edit, and I want to choose something completely different. For example, play fair display, like this, and when I press enter, you can see that it changed in real time. And that's the beauty of XD and this document assets right here, because when you add character styles, you can globally replace them. So you can just imagine that we have, for example, 50 different pages. If you change it right here, press enter, it's going to update automatically throughout your design. So it really doesn't matter which font you use at the start. What matters is the end result, so you can always go back and apply that change. So hopefully that helped you. Let's continue right here. So I'm going to create this right section right here. So I'm going to select this text, Control C, move it outside, position it right here, and let's select this color. So let's use this one, like this. And I'm going to make sure that it's left aligned, like so. And I'm going to type in explore new worlds, like so. And I'm going to make sure to lower it down just a bit. So instead of 70, let's go with 60, like so. Make sure to apply it right here. There we go. And I'm going to duplicate this one, and let's see, I can give it something different. For example, let's go with 24. And let's go with regular all the way up to here. And for the distance, we can go with 48, for example. So let's stick to 8 pixel grid, something like that. There we go. Like it. And I'm going to make sure that it's boxed. So let's expand it to 6 columns. So 2, 4, 6. And let's go all the way down to here. Let me actually go ahead and copy and paste the text in, so I can cut it off right around here, so we're not losing too much time. Then I'm going to select this button. I'm going to paste it outside, move it right here, and make sure it's the same distance. But this time, let's actually apply a different color. So what we can do for this case is, for the wireframe sake, because I purposely don't want to animate anything, I don't want to put any color right here, even though I can, just so I can show you guys how can you create these wireframes without any color, just not to confuse your clients and to move things at a faster pace. So this right here, we can call it, let's see, explore new worlds. New worlds. Well, actually, let's call it text, and then we can call this entire section explore new worlds, like this. And for this, I'm going to use a plugin, which I really have difficulty pronouncing. Blobular. Yeah, I nailed it. Blobular. So when you click right there, it's completely free. Of course, you can click right here and go to Adobe plugins. You can download it and you can basically choose any kind of shape that you want. And I want something really nice and simple. So yeah, maybe about here. Create blob. It's just going to position it in place. Let's flip it and let's rotate it a little bit to something like this. And then I'm going to jump inside and basically adjust it just a little bit to something like this. I don't know why it gives me this option, but let's select these 2 points, maybe roughly around here. I'm going to select this one, position it roughly outside. Make sure it's rounded a little bit, just like this. And for the color, let's go with this color. You're going to notice I purposely don't select, I'm not selecting this color because I'm not going to use it later. It's just for the artboard, but for now we can keep it right there. I'm going to call this one blob. There we go. And now we have to create that circle. And for the circle, what I can do is perhaps I can, let's see, maybe use, let's go right here. Let's go with 200 by 200. There we go. And for this circle, I'm going to go with white, light, like so. I don't like this edge, so I'm going to move it slightly roughly around here. Maybe I can adjust this one, and we can of course play around later when we actually get to our images, so we can jump inside and position this a bit better. This right here is going to be our ICN for icon, BG for background, so icon background, and I can move these two down to right here. I can make sure this and these are centered. I'm still don't liking this edge, so perhaps I can make it a bit rounder, maybe roughly around here. Then maybe I can move this right here. Yeah, I think it looks good now, but now I don't like this one. So let me not lose too much time with this, but let me actually get some sort of a creative shape which we can use a bit later. So if I go roughly around here, I'm going to create a difference, maybe add another anchor point roughly around here. So there we go. Maybe I can just slightly move this down to maybe right around here. And now that we are ready, we can group this section and make sure that we are actually, no, before we group it, ungroup, because I want to go 100 from this edge right here, or actually 150 or something. Let's see. So I can select these and I can position it roughly around here, like so. Let's hold shift and bottom arrow 15 times to go 150, because this is outside, because this is flipped, so you can see where the top edge is. If this was the original shape that it gave me, then it will be like that, but when you rotate it, it's going to be like that. That's why I did it like that. So let's go ahead and call this explore new worlds, like so. And now let's move on to the next section, which are going to be these cards. But before we use these cards, let's select our text, Control C. And before we do, what I actually want to put a stack right here. So if I change something, it's going to apply that stack. It's going to work with it really nicely. So let's first things first, change this to centered text. Make sure this is auto width like this. Let me hide myself so you can see it. And make sure that this is centered. This is centered as well. And this goes from the center like so. There we go. So first things first, let's call this unlimited possibilities. Hopefully I spelled it right. I did. There we go. And I want to paste in my text right here. Instead of 48, we can go with 40 for this one. There we go. And I can select these two, hit Control G, call it title. Straight away, you can apply a stack if you want to, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to leave it like it is right here. So make sure it's centered and roughly around 150 or something. So let's go roughly around here. There we go, 15. There we go. Once again, it's because of the shape of that blob. So let's now go and create the rectangle that we see right here. So inside we have icon, we have the main text, we have the supporting text, and then we have this background overall. So let's create that background card. So because we have 4, maybe we can have 3-column layout. So for that card, let's call it, let's say card BG, card background. Let's give it 10. And let's actually get rid of the border. We can use white color. So when I hit preview, just to see how that looks like, you can clearly see it right here. And once we actually add all of these elements and stuff, we are going to make it stand out even more than it is right now. So for the card, as I said, what we need is we need the text. So I'm going to hit T on my keyboard, call this education. Right. So make sure it's in the center, and for the education we can go with something a bit bigger, so 32 maybe. And instead of regular we can go with medium. Go right here, straight away add it, click, and then I can move it right around here. So it goes from the lowest one to the highest one, or you can go the other way around. It's really all up to you how you want it. And I'm going to hit Control D to duplicate it and make sure to position a new one. And this time we can go with something a lot smaller, so 18 and a regular maybe. Oh no, let's go with medium still. And I'm going to click and paste in my text. So for my text, I want to go with something like this. Let's actually go with the box. So I'm going to go with this. Something like that. Make sure we are in the center like this. And for the box, we can go with maybe 20 from this edge. Like this. And then maybe we can go inwards. We are roughly around 21 or 22 or something like that. Just make sure that the box is in the center. There we go. Into the world of We Are Learning. There we go. And then from the bottom, we can go with maybe 40. So let's lower this down. Align this to bottom, where we can select these two. Make sure we are at the bottom. There we go. I don't know why this card went over here, but it doesn't matter. Shift 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. Now we are at 40. And from the top, we can go with the same. So Shift 1, 2, 3, 4. So we are 40 from each side. And finally, I'm going to create a nice circle right here. We are going to replace it later with our illustration, but roughly around here. So just make sure that we are roughly the same distance or something. So let's go with this color once again. Let's get rid of the border. There we go. And now I'm going to call this ICN for our icon. I'm going to group all of it and call it, let's say, education or card. Like that. Hit Control G, call these cards. Then hit stack, duplicate it 3 more times so I can have 4 of them. So 1, 2, 3. Go back to cards, make sure this is 60. There we go. Position nicely. And I can jump inside of here, call this games. And then I can replace these texts since I already have them. This next one is going to be music because VR is big on music. Select this one. There we go. And finally, this is going to be Meta because Facebook changed its name to Meta and they are really big into VR recently. So let's position all of those. Now what we can do is call this card education, for example, just so that we know what it is if we decide to animate it later. This is going to be our games. Next one is going to be music. And finally, this last one is going to be meta, like so. And now that that's completed, we can, for example, scale it down to maybe hundreds or something like that. So let's go with nice round number of 100, like so. And I'm going to call this unlimited possibilities, like this. Before I move on any further, let me check the chat. Hi, Usman. Glad you can join me right here. Thanks for the pronunciation. It's really difficult. I don't know, some words like cellular, I cannot pronounce it for the life of me. And this one, blobular, I really, I'm really struggling with it. But thanks for your support. Hopefully, you guys are enjoying this live stream and thank you for being with me today. Let's quickly move on to this one. So I'm going to duplicate this section and let's give it a different name. So this one is going to be redefine gaming. So, and I'm going to jump inside of here, call this redefine gaming. There we go. I'm going to jump inside of my design, Control V to paste in the new text because gaming is really in the focus of VR and it has been ever since the VR came out. What I forgot to do right here is call this get yours, like this. Select my text, close all of these, jump in right here and call this get yours. There we go, because I want people to get this, but for this one I just want to rotate them. So what I can do is include my stack and simply move my blob right here. There we go. And then I want to rotate my blob like so. Then I want to go outside of the stack, outside of the padding, and simply adjust these. So I'm going to ungroup this because I don't need it to be grouped. And what I want to do is basically align it to this edge right around here. Then I want to go with this one because it's 6. So let's count them: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There we go. It's nicely aligned and this section is done. The only thing which is left for us to do, of course, is to make sure we are at 150. So let's try and see if XD is going to give us this number. It's not, so let's go manually once again, roughly around here. 15 times for 150. And now that that's completed, we can now move on to the next section, which is going to be video in our case. You can see right here, video of device, full width, or maybe we can scale it down a little bit. So to achieve that, what I'm going to do is simply use my rectangle tool, jump in right here, and let's say it's going to be 12 column wide, and for the corner radius we can go with something nice and big like 20. I can jump inside and select this color once again, get rid of my border, and for the height I can go with something nice and big like 863, and I can position it straight away to be 150 again. And this is not going to be a big problem later with these blobs because we are going to mask them, but for now it is sort of a big pain. Video background for this one, so video BG, and let's see, I think this corner radius is actually quite good. I'm going to select this text, hit Control C, jump in, Control V, position it right here and make sure that this is white. There we go. I'm going to also make sure it's in the center. And let's see, for the text itself, we can go and say something like see the world through new eyes. Like so. Make sure it's in the center. Hit Control G on these two, call it video. And of course, this is going to be a video which is going to play later because we are going to add it. So because XD does not have this option at the moment, you can do this two separate ways. You can create separate artboards. So when you actually do some sort of a parallax animation, which I didn't do tutorial so far on the channel, but I could have done. And let me know in the comments if you're interested in learning how to create a parallax animation for websites in XD. So you can do it that way, or you can do it what I did in my original example. And let me actually show you that right now with the prototype. So here is the original prototype. You can see that this is playing right here in the background. We have these options. So when I hover, when I go all the way down, you can see that the video is not playing. So in order for it to start playing, so that's just one downside of XD at the moment, but hopefully in the future, the team is going to implement that change and we can be able to, if I scroll up, you can see that this video has stopped. Hopefully in the future we are going to have this option for this to be endless, for this to be endless, for this to be endless, like they did with the Loti, because you can see that the Loti is playing endlessly, video is playing endlessly. So hopefully they're going to add the option in the future for videos, multiple videos at the same time, to go endlessly. But for now, we can simply stick with this example. Now that that's done, let's move on to the next section, which is going to be this section, cutting edge tech. So I need the text which is centered. Once again, title, Control C, Control V. Let's go right to here. We can go with 150. Right. So, and I'm going to actually play around with some spacing a bit later in the design. It's going to be a bit different and more airy, but for now we're going to keep it right there. So cutting, edge, check. So let me take my text like this, and we are going to create those three cards right here, because if you remember, we have one big one, 6 columns, and this is 6 columns in width, but it's going to be a bit narrower to the top. So what we are going to do right here is go ahead and use our rectangle tool, and let's see, 2, 4, and 6. So like this. There we go. Make sure that the color is white. It is. That's great. And I'm going to go ahead and call this something different, like, I don't know, big card or product card. Product card BG big or large. Like that, just so that later my developers know that this is actually the bigger one. For the dimensions, let's go with this width, but for the height, let's go with 618 because that was in my original example. And let's see, for the corner radius, we can go with 10 on each side. I think that's fine. Like that. Control D, and now I'm going to rename this one and I'm going to call it small, because it's actually going to be smaller because the height of that one is going to be 279, like that. And I'm going to go Control D and position it here. But instead of me doing that, let me actually quickly create this one, and then I'm going to duplicate it down. So for this one, what we need is to position some text inside, and I'm going to call it Explorer 2. That's going to be the main product. So let's go with 32 medium, which is this one. There we go. Control D once again. And here I'm going to write customize yours like this. And we're going to make sure to note that this is a link actually. And it can be this one. And let's just change the color to this color. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing. There we go, and let's underline it really quickly. And for the distances, what we can go for is maybe 20, and let's select this, make sure it's in the center, select these two, holding shift, make sure they are in the center, and finally the distance between these two can be 48. So let's go with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then go 2 pixels down. Here is going to be our image later, but for now we are happy with it. So use Control C to copy this text and make sure to call it Explorer 2, because that's what it's going to be at the end. And let's go and hit paste on our text, position it right here, make sure both of them are left aligned, and like this. position it down, and what I can do is make sure I'm in the center and maybe position it right around here, something like that. I'm happy with it. I'm going to call this one controller, and I'm going to call, instead of customize, I'm going to say explore now. Explore now. Not able to write today, I guess. This is where the image is going to go, so let's leave it like this, and this is going to be controller. Control D to duplicate that section, and let's actually nudge it all the way down to here. And for this one, I'm actually going to select the text and position it roughly around here to maybe 80, like this. And this is going to say get ideas. And instead of explore now, we can say something like get inspired. There we go, because we need them to get ideas. As I explained in the previous video, get ideas. There we go, and we can call this entire section cutting edge, for example. There we go. And now I should actually save this file because it keeps growing and growing all the time. I don't like these edges, so I'm going to get rid of them actually. So select and get rid of all of my borders because we are going to apply some effects a bit later, like drop shadow, like we usually do. And let's actually quickly check how it looks like. Really happy with it. So we can go down. We can scroll a bit down. So this is where the icon is going to go eventually. So yeah, this all looks good. I'm still not happy with the look of this blob, but we're going to fix it a bit later. This is the video, nice big section, cutting edge. Everything looks fine. So let me actually check the chat, see what you guys are doing. Whoa, Shalef really likes to write. So let's see. For the website, do you want it to scroll down or to tap and send to the next page? So really, once again, depends of what you want for your layout. If you want that parallax effect, then you can scroll down. It's going to go to the next section. But for the next page, you really want your users to click and to understand what they are doing. Says lately I'm getting annoyed when I lock background in XD. Do you think Figma is better from side or other ones? I don't really understand this. What you meant by this? What do you want to lock background? I'm not sure. So make sure to get back to me on that one, and I'm going to respond. So let's get back to our design. So we left off here. So what we need to create next is this one. So this is just a typical testimonial section. So it's really going to be nice and easy. So let's jump there. So first things first, let's create that image. So I'm going to go with, let's see, maybe 6 columns. So 2, 4, 6. And I'm going to call it testimonial. Image. There we go. And for the testimonial image, what I want to do right here is go with 10, and I want to go with the height of 500, so nice and big. There we go. And I can add a shape in the background, Control D, testimonial, we can call it shape, like that. So you can hold Shift and then bottom arrow and a right arrow until you are at 40, for example, and I can then group these two, position them, move them into place, but I'm actually going to leave this outside of the grid just for the sake of it. And instead of being filled, I'm going to keep the border, and for the shape, let's see, maybe we can go with 5 pixels on this one just to pronounce it a bit more, just to extend it a bit more. And I'm going to get rid of my border for my image. So there we go. I like how that looks like. And now let's go ahead and enter our text. So hit D, and I'm going to say something like Explorer 2 is life changing. Something along those lines. Make sure to position it right here. Make sure it's left line right here. Let me hide myself so you can see the text changes which I am making at the moment. So let me check. This can be 32, so something a bit bigger than this, like that. I have a weird spacing issue right here. There we go. Make sure to position here, Control D, and I'm going to turn this into a boxed layout. And for this one, we can go with 24 this time. So let's change that. Let's create 24 and let's give it a regular instead of medium, like that. And I'm going to jump inside, copy and paste my text, and then cut it off right here. It's just your basic testimonial blurb. So when you're working with your clients, make sure that they have testimonials. If they don't have them, make sure to create something of your own, but make sure to be genuine next time when they actually have some information. If they don't have any testimonials, make sure to give test trials or test uses or use cases to their clients, so they can bring them back those testimonials, because they are really genuine. And the more genuine the testimonial is, the better it is in terms of conversion later. So it's really important for them to have good testimonials. Finally, let's go ahead and create that nice big pagination. So I'm going to go with something like 20 by 20. There we go. I'm going to use this same color which we use right here. So let's actually go with this one. I couldn't be bothered to create something else. So I'm going to call it dot for now. And let's organize these two. This is going to go here. This is going to go here. Control G. And I'm going to call it pagination. There we go. Put it in a stack. And then 1, 2, 3 to make sure we have 4. And finally, for that pagination, we can go with something a nice like 18, for example. And I always like to give them the second one. So let's get rid of the fill for this one, and this last one. So we can show them that we are staying at this second one. Finally, I'm going to put all of them in a group. I'm going to call it testimonial text. I'm going to make sure we are in a stack of 48, because that was the stack that we used previously. Make sure that these two are centered, and I'm going to select all of them, hit Control G and call it testimonial, like that. And finally position it roughly, let's go with 200 this time. Yeah, let's go with 200, and I'm going to play around with the spacing settings in the next video, as I said. Finally, what we need is this one. So all in one, what does it say, headset. So I'm going to take this text, Control V, position it outside. Let's go with 200 on this one as well. So all in one headset. There we go. And I'm going to actually take the text from my original design. There we go. So cutting edge technology in a beautiful, easy to use device. So just a blurb about the device itself. This is where the image is going to go. So I'm not going to place anything right here, but I am going to take this button, Control C, and plonk it all the way to here. Make sure it's in the center and just below my title. There we go. Like that. And for this one, we want to say customize yours, because that's the whole point. We want users to customize their devices, as I mentioned in the previous video. If you didn't watch that, make sure to check it out. It's live on my channel right now. So I'm going to call this one, let's say all in one, maybe like that. And then for next one, what we can do is, let me actually check in my original design and close all of this up. So the next one is this. So we have to create these shop accessories. So what I'm going to do actually is take the card that we created previously. So one of these, I'm going to jump inside, hit Control C, Control V, and then simply move it all the way down to here. And make sure that we are roughly, let's say this is too big. Let's actually go with the text first. So I'm going to come right here, hit T, shop, accessories. There we go. And for this one, we can go with that 32, like so. And finally, make sure it's left aligned like this, and make sure we are at 100 pixels. And now we can position this to be 200 from here. So one more. There we go, 200, position it right here. And then for this one, what I want is to actually extend this card to be 4 columns wide, because now we are going to have 3 of them. So this is going to be, let's see what we can call it. The first one was card BG. This can be product card BG, like that. And then what we want is to create those text cases. So this can be 32, and I can call this carrying case. And just make sure it's left aligned. There we go. And I can put it 40 on each side, like that. There we go. And I want to delete this text bottom because I want to create a better one. Control D, there we go. To give it the price of 18, for example. And I'm just going to give it this 18, but make sure that I select this outer color right here. And I want to make sure I'm 40 from each side once again. So shift 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. And I'm going to later put an image right here in the background. We're going to play around with these settings, but for now I think it's good. Let's call this one case. Control G. Let's call them, let's say, cards. Or cards. Like that. Stack once again. D, so Control D, and I'm going to give them distances of 60. For this second one, what we can call it, extended cable, extender cable or whatever, and this can be 54 maybe. And finally, this will be shop all accessories. There we go. And I'm going to say something like explore now. There we go. And right, what I need right here is an arrow. So I'm going to actually select an arrow from my original design, paste it in right here. There we go. It's going to plunk it in as a component. There it is. And I'm going to simply find it. Let's see what it is. Right click, highlight on canvas. There it is. I'm going to double click inside and actually change its color to this color, just so that we can see it. Position these two right here, and I'm going to actually make sure it is 40 or 20, and we are going to animate it a bit later. And basically that's it for this section. What I can do right here is rename this one, call this one cable, and this one shop all, for example. There we go. I can call these accessories and put this at the bottom. Let's see, the distance is 200. That's great. Double click on the artboard itself, extend it a bit, hit save, and let me actually check the chat before we move on any further. Hopefully you guys are fine and you guys are enjoying this stream as much as I do. I don't know why, but the music keeps disappearing, so let me bring it back. So chill. And let's bring this volume a bit down to something like this. There we go. And let's continue. So now what we need is this section, because it's the same section as these. Let's actually use this one, Control D, and put it all the way down to the bottom like this. And we are going to do the same thing. So 15. There we go. And instead of explore new worlds, maybe we can call this unleash the world, like that. And because I'm a bit lazy, I'm going to simply copy and paste this text. And because, if you noticed, because we have one line of text right here, when I double click paste, because it's in a stack, it's going to simply move it down. And that's the beauty of a stack. You don't simply have to organize manually all of these things. So let's say I want to put in another one, you can see it moves down, and that's really nice because we have a stack. So finally I want to add this text in. There we go, Control V to put this text inside. Unleash the world. There we go. This spacing is a bit off, but as I said, I'm not going to bother with it too much at the moment. Finally, what we need is we need to create a footer, if you remember right here. So we are going to have the logo at the top. We are going to have these products, partners, support, about, and then finally this copyright nonsense at the bottom. So let's do that really quickly. So for the footer, I'm going to simply draw a nice big rectangle, something like that. And I'm going to use the same, let me hide myself so you can see it, the same color as for all of them. I'm going to get rid of my border and I'm going to put it down, call it footer. BG, there we go. Let's go for a nice and big 640 in height, for example. And right here we can go with something nice like 200 maybe. No, let's actually use the value which is not defined, so something like that. So just freehand it for now, and we are going to deal with it later once we actually get to design. Now this is the feature which I don't like about Adobe XD, and I truly hope that they are going to fix it in the future. I already wrote to them a few months back about this, and it really annoys me because it's super simple and it's going to be super beneficial once they actually add it, and that's crop to content. What I mean by that is now I have to manually adjust the height of my artboards. There is no option at the moment to crop to content. There is this responsive resize, there is stack, there is all of these elements, but not to crop to content, and that's really annoying. So I have to zoom all the way in if I want to be pixel perfect, which I want, and simply snap it like this. But it's going to be much simpler if they just added an option where you can just click a button and it's going to snap to bottom edge of your content. So later on, for example, if I decide to expand the height of this footer, let's say where it is now, like this, it should be really easy and useful if the artboard expanded alongside the content and not for me to go back and forward and just expand this by hand and doing all of this like this. But for now, it is what it is. So let's go and move further. I'm going to plonk in my logo inside, jump inside, and I'm going to go inside and give it white color. Like this, there we go, and I'm going to make sure that that's in the center, position it roughly around here for now, and let's now deal with the content inside. So for that content we are going to go with nice and small sizes, so let's actually go with products. There we go, white and 18, there we go. So products, and I'm actually going to create one and then duplicate because it's going to be much faster. Control G, call this products, like that, put it in a stack, but vertical one. And right here, just check if the text is left aligned. It is. Let's see, we need 4 more copies. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And for these copies, what I need is I want to give them different names. So this is going to be headset. This next one is going to be controller. Third one is going to be software. And finally, this last one is going to be accessories. There we go. And for the distances, let's go with something nice and big like 24. There we go. I think that's nice and big. And let's group this one, Control G, call it nav items. There we go. Put those in a stack in this direction. Let's create 4 copies. 3 copies. This second one is going to be partners. Third one is going to be support. And this last one is going to be about. There we go. And now for the distances, I want to go with something huge like 240, for example. Whoop. Not that, but this one, 240. There we go, nice and large. Make sure it's in the center. And now let's quickly go ahead and organize these. So this is going to be partners. This is going to be support. And finally, this is going to be about. This is the most boring section, and I really don't like designing footers, but what can you do? Educational. This is going to be gaming. Next one is going to be movies, and last one is going to be meta. Then in support we're going to say products, so support about products, support about games, because perhaps this company has different departments for that. Learning, there we go. And finally, FAQ. So facts, questions, there we go. Product story. Then who we are. Below that are values. And finally, contact us. And there we go. Now that that's finished and completed, we can quickly organize it, put it right here. Where is our logo? There it is. And we are going to group these three: column, footer. And now make sure that this is in the center. So let's position it like this and perhaps like this. So let's see, maybe from the bottom edge, we can go with, I don't know, let's go with this. So we can go with 80 on the logo. Yeah, 7, so 1, 2, 3, and then 20, so 80. And then perhaps I can move 80 down from my logo. Let's go like this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There we go. And once again, make sure it's in the center like this. And there we go. So we have finished our wireframe for today. As you can see, we went section by section and it took just almost 1 hour. So I'm really happy with the result. Hopefully you guys are too. So let's quickly preview and see what we created today. So we went on with the navigation here. We went with the logo. We created this, we created our button, then we created this blob section, which I don't really like, but we are going to change it in the design section in the next week's live stream. Unlimited possibilities, spacing, of course, we are going to fix in the next one. Colors, we are going to add a bunch of colors, bunch of these animations and stuff. We are going to add the video right here, cutting edge tech, all of these things. It looks really good so far. All-in-one headset. Of course, once we actually add the image right here, we are going to expand this section because we will need to. Carrying case, unleash the world of VR technology, and finally the footer at the bottom. So once again, if you want to get this practice file which we created today, make sure to join my membership, and it is going to be located right there. So in case you are interested in following along and getting all of these resources, then you can find all of them there. So that's it for today. I really hope that you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for being with me during this live stream. So thank you, Chalef, thank you, Usman. Thank you, Abdullah. Thank you all of you guys who were with me today. We are just sticking at 1 hour, so I'm going to end it here today. Once again, make sure to follow me on social media. I'm pretty much Alex on Design everywhere except on Behance, where I am at Web Donut, which is sort of my business name. And don't forget to check out my Behance presentations there. And also don't forget to check out Inception Design System, which is, as far as I know, the biggest design system ever created for Adobe XD. If you want to check out my courses, make sure to check them out at alexondesign.com. And if you want, you can follow me on YouTube, Alex on Design there. And make sure to let me know in the comments down after this stream is completed, especially on YouTube. Would you like me to create that prize giving sort of live stream when I hit 10K on YouTube? I would really like to know what you guys think. I was thinking about something like giving you a few Inception Design System copies to you guys and few yearly membership, for example, so we can hold a raffle or something like that during live stream, so that I can give away those prizes to you guys. Let me know what you think about that. Thank you so much for watching, and I really hope to see you in my next one. Thank you, Ahmed. I really like that you were here with me today, and thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And one more thing I forgot to show you, actually, which doesn't really matter now, but these are the wireframes which I was actually recreating, and these are the ones which I was showing you in our design. So this is one, and this is the other, but it doesn't really matter now because I already show you that inside of our design. That's it for today. That's it for me. Thank you so much once again, and until next time, take care.